Okay. Anyway, Congressman Byron Donalds is joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News, and maybe he can make sense of all of this. It's unbelievable to me that, again, I start from the beginning, which is a sitting president has an FBI going through his home, and this is not only the biggest story that the country has in front of it in the moment, but that it seems like many people are just like, meh. Just whatever. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm good, but this shouldn't be a shock. I mean, come on, man. You know the thing. The media is in the president's pocket.
You did go there.
Listen, man. This is honestly, Drew. This is why Americans are so sick of big media, and why their approval ratings are in the toilet, because they are duplicitous. They are not even-handed. They do wear rose-colored glasses. They don't report the facts and just the facts. They pick and choose what they want to report. They are conditioning the American people through propaganda. And I'm not trying to just, throw that out there to be hyperbolic. It's just true. A sitting president's home is searched by the FBI, and most of the media doesn't even bat an eye. This is the problem on Capitol Hill. So, we always get as Republicans, man, you Republicans got a message better. You got a message better. You got a message better. Drew, half the battle is the media doesn't report what we say.
Right. I
got colleagues that say really good things. I hear it all the time. Media doesn't report it. So you're the tree that falls in the forest. You don't make a sound. So, that's not to complain. That's just the way it is. And so what we got to do is find ways to pierce that veil by getting these issues out. That's where talk radio has been so successful, shows like yours. That's why social media, even though the companies are very liberal and are against conservatives, is still the venue for getting information out to people so they can see the duplicitous nature of big media. Now, specifically to Joe Biden, this is a complete disaster. How is a sitting president's house, being searched? And a reporter asked me, do you have a comment on the difference between this being a search or a raid? And I'm like, the difference is because he's a Democrat. That's the difference. If he was a Republican president, it would have been a raid. And that's not just Donald Trump. It would have been any Republican president.
Yeah.
It would have been a raid. CNN would have been tipped off. They'd have miraculously been there when the blue and red lights were flashing coming down the street, all that.
Yeah, and it's the politics that are at play and the alphabet bureaucracies that exists. And we know it because it played out before our eyes with the Russian collusion hoax. It plays out before our eyes. And let me just mention this as well. I earlier talked about how Chip Roy was questioning Maxine Waters about a House resolution denouncing socialism and bringing up her own words from 2008 and talking about, hey, we want to socialize everything and we want government to take over business. Like, we want this, and questioning her about this. And she brought up the issue of that you're not going to tell me that the government is involved in private business. Are you kidding me? It's happening every day. We see it with the Twitter files. I mean, you could just use the Twitter files as an example. Either it's one of those things where you look and you say, okay, she's not a dumb woman. She's there for a reason. She knows what's going on. And so either you're being disingenuous with people, or you're covering for what you really want, which is what is taking place. And so when people say we're this close to socialism, in a lot of ways we're already there.
No, you're right. And listen, so I'm on Financial Services Now, which is a committee that Maxine Waters has chaired for the last 4 years. She's now the ranking member, meaning she's not the chair of the committee.
Right.
So yesterday we're organizing the committee. We're actually putting together the rules and voting on the rules. She filed amendment after amendment after amendment to the rules, and effectively what she was trying to do was to set the committee's agenda through the rules. And we're all sitting there like, Maxine, you're not the chair anymore. Like, the chair gets to do that. You're the ranking member. Like, let it go. But, it's her prerogative. She's a member on the committee, so she can file amendments. Fine. But every amendment, Drew, was situated around using diversity and equity and inclusion and all these different issues to have the committee have Congress or have the federal government interject into the affairs in the financial industry. So it's not just media. It's finance. It's medicine. It's construction. It's energy. It's universal what the Democrats are pushing to do. So that's why this resolution vote is so interesting, because it's going to really see where the the Republicans stand. I mean, the Democrats stand. And the funniest thing, we were in another committee, Katie Porter out of California, who's now running for the Senate. Like, Katie Porter is a socialist. I've heard her talk in committee many times. But yesterday in committee, she sure did sound like a conservative. Why? Because when you run for office, even Democrat voters kind of want you to sound like a conservative. And that's what she's playing up now until she gets in the Senate. Hopefully she doesn't. But until she gets in the Senate, and then what is she going to do? She's going to be the newer Elizabeth Warren. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And when we talk about these issues and what Democrats really are, and how a lot of people don't see these committee hearings, these meetings that you're having, and see firsthand, hear it for themselves, the words that they are saying, the things that they're doing. Sometimes they contradict. Sometimes they're showing, again, how they are avowed socialists. And then, even when it comes to the dealings of, let's just say, the debt and the debt ceiling, and being really honest about, number one, where we are in the discussion, and number two, what we need to do and the bold actions and moves that need to take place in this country for us to not, I guess if we want to put it this way, not being hyperbolic, fall off a cliff, although we may already be tumbling off that cliff, but to have people that are going to confidently speak boldly about some of the things that have to happen, where Democrats are certainly, and you can speak to this directly, about not only more of the same, but not even going back to, and I think you talked about this, even pre-pandemic levels. Like, we can't even get them to settle on something as simple as that. It's just spending full steam ahead, and it has to end someplace.
It does. I mean, look, first things first, and this is where I need everybody, in Southwest Florida to help out on this one. I need you to explain to your neighbors and your friends, Republicans are not even talking about Social Security and Medicare. We're not talking about it. We know those programs have to be reformed, but that's not a part of these negotiations on our side. We're not even bringing it up. That's fear-mongering from the Democrats and from the president. Why? Because they've overspent the country on purpose, and they don't want to curtail their spending, but then they just want to have the ability to borrow more money. I mean, that's just irresponsible in every sense, in every word. And so what the president and the Democrats are trying to do is spook the markets into believing that if we don't raise the debt ceiling and our economy collapses, it's the fault of the Republicans. Not true. We could have easily not spent this money the last 2 years and found a way to extend the debt ceiling. And let me also add this. In the omnibus spending bill that they passed right before Christmas, when Democrats had a handful of Republicans help them in the Senate, they could have easily put a debt ceiling increase into the omnibus bill when Nancy Pelosi was still Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. You know why they didn't do that? Because they want to blame Republicans.
Right.
This is the game. They want to set up a fight where, oh, look at these Republicans, they can't govern. This is being done on purpose. The second thing, and people need to understand this point, Joe Biden has said he won't negotiate. He's telling Republicans and Speaker McCarthy, where is your plan? Where is your plan? What would you cut? What would you cut? Ladies and gentlemen, the president's budget is due next week. The president's budget is an outline of the spending priorities of the White House. So if you're going to talk about raising a debt ceiling, how about the president show us his spending priorities for the next decade in the country? You know what the president's doing with his budget? He's delaying it a month. Wow. He's going to be a month late delivering his budget, which, by the way, is a violation of federal law. He's going to be a month late delivering his budget, but he's going to tell the media, hey, ask these Republicans what their plan is. What do they want to cut? Again, this is a setup. So what people need to understand is that we want to negotiate. We understand what the raising of the debt ceiling means, not just for financial markets, but for banks, but for borrowing for small businesses and everything like that. Totally get all that and why it's critical. But what we're not going to do is just raise the debt ceiling unilaterally with no negotiations and reforms on spending. We're not going to do that. And if the president is that irresponsible to not even present your budget to America, let alone Republicans, to America, then you don't get to have more debt. Sorry, bro. That's the way this thing is in real life. And so these reporters keep asking me this. They're like, but sir, what would you cut? And I'm like, excuse you, the president's the head of the executive branch. His budget is due. He's already telling you now he's not going to deliver it. Ask the president why. How come the president won't live up to his legal obligations and actually put forward a spending plan so we can see and then figure out what to do with the debt ceiling?
Yeah. No.
It's not that hard. Simple stuff.
Point. Yep. Congressman Byron Donald is joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. Hey, before we go, I everything that happens now, whether it's statewide or whether it is national, I look and say, okay, I kind of go into victories, quote unquote, with a little bit of hesitation. So when I see that the College Board here is removing some of that the curriculum in there, the woke curriculum from the AP African American Studies courses, and the governor stepping up, which is fantastic, and stepping into the space which you want to see. That's leadership. That's what we'd like to see, and things like this around the country. The first thing I would ask you is, number one, the talk on Capitol Hill, when you talk to others, even Democrats in the House, and some of when they hear about this issue, do they understand what is going on here? Because if they go to their usual talking head media outlets that a lot of the left go to, it's unbelievable some of the statements that are being made on some of the networks. That is so disingenuous. Again, like the calling it "Don't Say Black," and because now it's fits in with the "Don't Say Gay" bill that never existed, obviously, and the demagoguing that goes on. But then the other side too is the left doesn't give up. So yeah, there's a victory here and a win, but you can't. You got to stay vigilant. You just can't say, "Okay, we did it, we fixed it." Yeah, maybe we kind of fixed this, or we brought attention to what's happening, but they don't go away. So maybe start with the first part, the buzz, if there's any.
So, I mean, look, on Capitol Hill, nobody even asked me about this one, to be funny. To be honest with you, they don't ask. I think because most of the members, especially the Democrat members, they know what the response is going to be for me at this point. So they kind of know, just don't even ask them because you know what you're going to get. Media, a couple of them asked me, and I said, go read Section 4 of the syllabus, which, of course, the reporters have not done. Right. And when they, because I tell them what's in Section 4 of the syllabus, and I'm like, does that sound like something that high school students should be taught? And then they have this blank stare on his face because they understand it shouldn't be taught. I think to the broader point of what you're saying about the win, but you got to stay vigilant, is very, very true. They're going to take the loss on this now. And in some respects, it's their own fault because they made a mountain out of a molehill with this one because College Board was negotiating. And if they had just kept quiet, they might have gotten something, but now they're going to get nothing. But they're going to be back later. But, trust me. And this is where, the future of Florida, look, Ron DeSantis is amazing as our governor. You know what's going to happen? They're just going to be back in the future. They're going to be like, okay, well, when this guy is gone, we'll do this. We'll try this again. And then we'll see what happens in the future. Right. And so that's why Republicans, in terms of who we elect and how that goes, we have to always make sure that, our leaders, our politicians, whoever they may be, are willing to stand in that arena and fight hard fights. Because it's more than just, this person's likable, they speak well, blah, blah. I mean, that's all well and good. You have to be willing to stand in the arena and have these fights because the left will never quit. They will always come back later. They will always try to repackage it. Sometimes they don't even bother repackaging it. They just do it again. Right. And they always will wait for a crisis to stick it in your face. They're waiting for you to blink because once you blink, they win. And the truth of how we've gotten to this point in America is because too many of our leaders on the Republican side of the aisle would be afraid of taking the hard fights and they would blink. And that is frankly what frustrated so many voters for years in the Republican Party. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we were able to catch this stuff now and bring it to the forefront and stand up to College Board and all the other wokies and the stuff that they want to do and turn them back. But you got to stay vigilant.
The wokies.
The wokies. Yeah.
I like that.
Like the Wookiees.
Yeah.
But the wokies.
The Wookiees. I like it. Nice. Good stuff.
They have a tribal scream, too, when they don't get their way.
Oh, we've heard that before. Yeah, we've heard that like Chewbacca. We've heard that before. Good stuff. All right, Congressman Byron Donalds joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. All right, sir. We'll see you soon. All the best.